one, teach one. Just sonke, langa le ndaba. Education is key to success. We haven't taught up anything. Yeah. Each one. Have to teach one. Must bomb beside the one. We haven't taught us. Each one. Got to teach one. Let's learn from one another. Let's go.
I served 20 years in prison. At 17, I was sent to prison for the first time. So at 22, I got out. Within 3 years, I was rearrested for robbery.
When you're in prison, I was here for about 3-4 years.
Abo mama bethu bakhala, they're crying inside. My mother got a stroke when I was sentenced to 15 years. Ngijontshile ngishayela ibhathu, ngirofile.
By the way, I spent 15 years, 11 months in prison. My dad shot himself. He committed suicide. I was not even given the opportunity to go bury my dad.
Hello, I'm Khalil Osiris. Welcome to Each One Teach One. This episode is about prison. It's about the hardships of being there and the further struggle of returning to society. Today we meet former inmates at Leeuwkop and Johannesburg Central Correctional Services who are encouraging incarcerated youth to do two things: take responsibility for being in prison and to make the best use of their time there. We start with Gauteng MEC for Community Safety, Mrs. Caesar Kaylee and Kosi Melabani.
My name is Kosi Melabani, MEC for Community Safety in Gauteng. The purpose of this program is, as Gauteng government, we've taken a decision to engage with our communities irrespective of your background and where you are. We have also taken a decision to engage young people in our province, including those that are incarcerated. We had a resolution that will have 5 engagements with young people incarcerated to address issues of stopping crime. We have a Take Charge campaign, which means crime stops with you. So if you have committed crime for the first time, it should be the first and the last time. And if you have repeated, it must make sure that you stop. We're also trying to address the issues of skills, that whilst they are here, they need to use the opportunity to correct themselves. When you're in prison, I was here for about 3-4 years. There's an area called C3 Nase-B. Very few of you will be accepted. We used to say, there's no hero behind bars. Ngani ke, akuna clever behind bars. But machita yazini ne, fanaki isponsor mukhuluma nani kuphela. Ene nina yini enzokhuluma nami ezwela ngisho. Lento criminal record kuya ngawe ukuthi you keep it. But when you are out of here, you can't come back. Safrustana machita. Ne? Alikho olede lifuna ukubona ingosi yalo yi. Ne? Alikho iolede lifuna ukubona ingosi yalo ejele. Wonke ama olede afuna abantwana babo outside, ne? So asamtheni ke bafana basemzini. It's ordinary people who have chosen a better route ngempilo zabo. Yabona awuvela uhlala endaweni eyi-1 uthi mina ngiyahlupheka. Bese uthatha yabona abusebenzi ubugebengu awuthama. Angisho, there are opportunities esinazo la. Our responsibility is to make sure that when you enter our correctional centers, your life must change and change for better. But you also have an option, angisho. If you want to stay where you are and not change impilo yako, you'll be our permanent customer here. Nang understand English? So when you are here, you need to then make sure you use it for introspection. Check exactly what went wrong. Yeah, what went wrong? But when you are here, you use this opportunity to change your life for better. There are educational opportunities. Imagine if we go to 10 years, no matter serious utakalane or unoktula, you can really have a metric because ungaishaya a one subject a year. Ungenungana metric, upumune metric, upume with a degree. Of course, there are challenges, and these are the challenges we need to engage now today. Ne? Uguti swalungisa kanjani. I won't come with solutions immediately. Mina nabo father will listen to you. So you change your life, you get the opportunities, but not everyone will be an academic. Asibeni clear. There are those that will go for imsebenzi yezandla ngisho. Abo sister ke bona kuyabonakala ukuthi kubukhona abo sister have already started. Ne? Sibona ngama hairstyle wenu. Yabo? Sibona ngama hairstyle wenu ukuthi la kunabantu abakwaziyo ukwenza inwele. But awufuna ukuthi wena uzane usuka nengqondo yabo clever ngaphandle ufike uyiphushe nala ngaphakathi. Ne? You're even risking your own parole because your behavior contributes ekubeni sig release or singak release. Nang understand that? You change your life inside. I'm sure kunabongwana abaye bathotela abantwana yi. What are you going to explain to your child ukuthi ngitholele umntwana ejele? So what I'm trying to say, let us change our lives whilst we are here for better. Ne? Mina, I changed my life when I was growing up at Deep Kloof. That is why I got involved in the struggle. Because what I was experiencing, I couldn't allow other people to experience it. And you take a decision when you are young. Majita nabo sister, let us discuss, let us engage. Tell us what to do to make sure in our country, ne? We've got less prisoners. If you are a young person committing crime, you need to stop. There is no future in crime. There are two things that will definitely will happen to you. You might die because a number or majority of criminals have died, or you will go to prison and you won't go for a short time, but you'll go for a very long time and waste your time there. By the time you come out of prison, you're old and useless.
Let's learn from one another.
Welcome back. Crime impacts many lives in this country. So let's listen to how opportunities can be used by prisoners to change their future if they commit themselves to using their time in prison for self-improvement.
I'm saying, let's take responsibility. Since they flop, as acknowledge a flop, and then send the movement there phambili.
Akekho umuntu ongakushintsha. Uwe owazi le screw face la ekhanda ukuthi sichachwa kanjani. So if wena you don't change yourself, akekho umuntu ongakuchintsha.
We all are here because we made the wrong decision sometime in our life. But it does not mean that we're going to carry on.
Le change lena siyitholile asiqhubekeni nayo singathi mase sifika ngaphandle sibe sizwa iphunga lobumnandi sibuyele back kulezi zinto lezi ezisilethe ejele.
We have learned people here abafundile. There are some abanama degrees, abanama trade, but bane challenge ye criminal record. Most of us masiphuma, we are struggling. Sinida ne support abantu abangaphandle. Masiphuma ngaphandle sibuya ejele abantu bayasirejecta. They label us.
Challenges that are standing out is visits by the the parents, relatives. It's really a challenge because we can do as much interventions as we can, but at the end of the day, these young people do not belong to correctional services. They belong to the society out there. They belong to the families out there.
I remember when I left the center, the head of the parole board at that time said to me, "We're giving you an opportunity, not based on, hearsay, but what we have in front of us, to say you have changed." By the way, I spent 15 years, 11 months in prison. 30 years of the sentence that I received was for a crime that I did not commit. 97, I was 26 years of age. Unfortunately, the following year, May 28th, I cannot forget that, my dad shot himself. He committed suicide, Remember, at that time, I was not even given the opportunity to go bury my dad. So there was still that anger, It's on top of being in prison for something that I did not commit. I was not given the opportunity to bury my dad. From the beginning of the sentence, I actually blamed myself to say, why me? But instead of playing a victim, I decided to be a victor. And how I did that is that I decided to go back to school. In '98, fortunately, I got a bursary loan to go and pursue my studies, which I did. And in 2003, in Louis Richard, the new private prison, that's where I eventually got my BCom in HR management. And I must say, if there's one thing that prison will teach you, it's patience. Patience. You're doing nothing, you're just sitting every day, you're hoping to get a requisition from court to say, go home. I spent 10 years waiting for that. It did not come. It did not come. Only in 2010 was I granted leave to parole at Bloemfontein. Can you imagine, from 96 to 2010, you're waiting, ne? And at that time you're sitting, you're doing nothing with your life. Waiting. Don't wait, people, don't wait. Time waits for no man. Can you imagine if they call you and say, tomorrow you're going home? What will you do? You came in prison with a matric certificate. You spent over 10 years in prison. You still come back with a matric certificate. I've got news for you. It's not going to work out. Soon you'll find yourself back here. It doesn't work that way, people. It doesn't work that way. Change yourself. I am marketing manager for a cleaning and hygiene services company. I am the spokesperson and the face for GOSO, which means once you get out, you need to stay out. Because, of the decisions that I made, not whilst I was outside, but you make that decision now. Now. I beg you people, South Africa deserves better. Just being here, I think we've done enough. There's enough wrong that we've done. We need people with a positive mindset.
I was in prison way before I was incarcerated because I wanted to fit in. But I'm not proud of that. I'm proud of what happened when I was in prison. I'm proud of these people in the brown. Nani, you can make a change. You can change. It is not difficult, but it starts with you. I saw an opportunity in prison, and I took that opportunity. Just by reading, that's where I saw my opportunity. When I studied in prison, I studied ICT. I got A's in because you don't have nothing to do. I also, lo mama grows. I had a grocery lady, Ipan Pal. Instead of taking that money, I took that money and I studied. Every piece of information I could get, I feeded myself with information. 2008, they launched Gauteng Online. The schools around South Africa. There was no computers in schools. But the one problem they had, and this is not my story, the one problem they had, they didn't have people to man these places. It's where I saw an opportunity that, hey, there's an opportunity. I went outside. When I came in front of the parole board, the judge said, what should we ask you? You've done everything. You know you should be outside and you'll never struggle again. And as I'm standing here, I'm not struggling. I have an organization, an NPO, IITC, I have a company, NNH, with one offender that I was with in prison. We started this together in prison. Our company is making money. I'm partners with Intel, I'm partners with Siafunda. These people give me money to teach people. Last year, when I got out of prison, we were 50. We only left, I think we 3 left. Out of all of us, all of them are back. You know why? Because they lied to themselves. But when the going gets tough, you go back to your old life. They're crying inside. My mother got a stroke when I was sentenced to 15 years. And that lady there from my location knows. And I'm not proud of that. But what I'm doing now, my mother is proud of me. So make your mothers proud. Make your family proud. Make South Africa proud.
They're right. Crime is a choice and change is a choice. And each one of us is responsible for the path we choose.
Let's learn from one another. Let's go. Let's learn from one another. Let's go.
So my conversation with you today is going to be a conversation with an understanding that though you're in prison, you have the power to be free. I served 20 years in prison, over 2 periods of incarceration. You see, what I want you to understand is while you're sitting here, you're being educated. Whether you recognize it or not, what you're talking about every day, what you're reading every day, what you're thinking about every day, it is educating you. It is preparing you for something. And if you are not intentional about what it is you're being prepared for, what I'm going to tell you is, the likelihood is you're going to return to prison. Because you're not intentional about your freedom. And what I'm telling you is, until you get to the place where your awareness of how you got here, why you're here, and what you need to do while you're here, until that's activated, you are on a crash course to return to a life that will continue to be criminal even if it's not in prison. And you know within yourself you're better than that you had other options. And I don't want to hear all that stuff about, oh, we had no role models and all that. Guess what? You got to be your own role model sometimes. You got to be the one that says no. That's the conversation I'm having with you today. About your power to make your life what you want it to become. You see, for me, prison, what I recognized when I got there at the bottom of life this time around, the second time at 25, facing the rest of my life, what I realized was I was in prison before I was arrested. Why should somebody have to beg you to go to school in prison when education is the most powerful weapon you can use to change the world? You know who said that, don't you? Yes. When I was in prison the second time, I decided to do what I'm telling you to do now. Turn the cell into a classroom and the prison into a university. And I went on to earn my bachelor's and master's degree in prison. In other words, I continued to educate myself in a way that I knew that would not only free me when I was out, help me stay out, but while I was in prison, I needed to be free. The illiterate of the 21st century are not those who cannot read and write. It's those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. If you intend to get out and stay out, there's a whole lot of stuff you're gonna have to unlearn about yourself. You know that, don't you? What I'm saying to you, when you leave here, don't go out of here begging, cap in hand, scratching and bowing. Leave here manned up. Get on your game now. Understand what you need to do now for you. Prepare your mind for the battle that's ahead. Don't ask whether or not I'm going to make a mistake. You will do what you think. Understand me. If you leave out of here and return to crime, it's because you're thinking like a criminal. The only way you'll not do it is if you think bigger than being a criminal. But the commitment stands starting with this. Can you stand up if you're serious about getting out and staying out? Stand up if you're serious. There's 3 things we're going to pledge. Very simple. In this pledge, it's very simple. I want you to think about it as we're saying it. I want you to repeat after me. I take responsibility for my choices and being in prison. I am accountable to educate myself, to get out and stay out. I pledge in the name of Nelson Mandela to break the cycle of crime in my family, community, and country. I love you, my soldiers. I'm here with you. Thank you.
I've learned a lot, that you need to be content with what you have, and once you make the mistake once, you cannot repeat it, and education is the key to success.
I'm a first-time offender, and it's like, it touched me. It's like, okay, now I must do this introspection and learn who I am and how I must develop on the outside.
She gave us a lot of hope, and her interaction with us as inmates give us mostly hope that when we go outside, we'll be accepted.
It have made me more proud of myself, and it have developed my mind very much. It showed me the way forward. My plan is to rehabilitate the community, so I want to help them in order for them to live their life in a positive way.
I came here doing standard 8. Now I have LLB. So next year I'm doing masters.
I think people need to understand there are a lot of programs in prison that changes these individuals. And the majority of them, when they come out, they're changed people. And through our attitude, we should not push them back to bad elements. We should not push them back to committing crime. We need to then welcome them into our community, assist them in getting better jobs, assist them in becoming better men and women. And through that, we will be able to really stop crime and make sure that we change this country for better.
I hope this episode has inspired you to open your hearts and minds to the power of choice and the power to change. I'm Khalil Osiris. Until we meet again, stay in the light.